with everything else going on right now between Trump and the Iranians and Israel and the Iranians and Lebanon and Hezbollah, yesterday Prime Minister Netanyahu released a short video message, a message to the Lebanese people. It's less than 2 minutes long, and I want to play it for you. And then I want to share with you more of the background of what's going on internally in Lebanon. And we'll see the significance of what Prime Minister Netanyahu is doing in the current environment with that background in mind. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's pull up the video. Here is Prime Minister Netanyahu just yesterday to the Lebanese people.
I have a message for you, the people of Lebanon. Israel is not at war with you. We're at war with Hezbollah, that has taken your country hostage, that does Iran's bidding, that uses your territory to launch terrorist attacks against Israel. Do you remember what Lebanon was like before Iran and Hezbollah turned it into a nightmare? Remember the cafes? Remember the culture? Remember the calm? All that's gone because Hezbollah and Iran want to drag us into war over and over and over again. You deserve better. Your children deserve better. You know by now that Israel will do whatever it takes to protect our families, our communities. Hezbollah is weaker than ever. Israel is stronger than ever. We've taken out nearly 10,000 Hezbollah terrorists so far. We're systematically clearing out South Lebanon of these fanatics. No matter where they are, we'll find them. You also know we yearn for peace with you, with Lebanon, a peace where our two peoples can invest together, build together, thrive together. The only impediment, the only obstacle to this beautiful vision is Hezbollah. They want war, not peace. They want death, not life. They will sacrifice as many of you as possible to achieve their sick aims. Don't let your future be dictated by medieval theocrats hell-bent on destroying our common civilization. Israel wants peace with you. Seize your future. Join Israel. Build safety and prosperity for all of our children. And once Hezbollah is dismantled, the possibilities are endless and they are sky high.
Okay. Nice message, right? Prime Minister Netanyahu telling the Lebanese people, we're not at war with you, we're at war with Hezbollah, and telling them what a bright future we could have together if we could just get rid of Hezbollah. Now, why did he do this now? So, simple answer, and this is certainly a big part of it, is that right now, Israel has been bombing Hezbollah. It's really an all-out offensive. There's no real ceasefire going on up there. The Israeli army is making progress. As he said, they're clearing out Hezbollah from the south of Lebanon. Israel's been bombing in the Dakhia in Beirut, which is the Hezbollah neighborhood. That's the whole controversial spot there where the Iranians said that they would shoot missiles at Israel if Israel bombed the Dakhia. Israel bombed the Dakhia. And there's, no matter how much the Lebanese people may or may not like Hezbollah, and we'll get into that very shortly, and most of the Lebanese people despise Hezbollah, they don't like being bombed. And there's certainly a lot of brainwashing and propaganda there about how Israel is at war with Lebanon. And it doesn't help that the government of Lebanon, the president of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, the prime minister, Nawaf Salam, who they know that Hezbollah is the problem, that Israel's not at war with them, but they still feel that they have to badmouth Israel and say that Israel is committing some sort of injustice by attacking Hezbollah and clearing Hezbollah out of the south of Lebanon. So this is very important messaging by Prime Minister Netanyahu, but I want to put it into a very specific context. So I mentioned that the majority of Lebanese people are not in favor of Hezbollah, but that's already a complicated thing to say because Lebanon is divided by ethnic groups, religious groups, and it's very sectarian in the divide, meaning there are towns that are Christian, there are towns that are Druze, there are towns that are Shiite, there are towns that are Sunni, there are regions of the country, there are specific groups. It's very divided. And you vote according to the religious group that you're part of. It's a very sectarian, divided sectarian country. And I've made a couple videos on this channel and on Israel 365 News about the structure of the Lebanese government, so you get a sense of what Lebanon is like. But what we're seeing recently is a fracturing of support for Hezbollah even coming out of the Shiite community, even coming out of what is generally Hezbollah's base. Now, let me give you a little bit more background before we get into the news items I want to share with you. So in Lebanon, there are seats in the parliament that are allotted to different religious groups, right? So half the seats are allotted to Christians, even though right now they're only 30% of the population. I explained that in this other video. It's because of this system was set up when they were still half the population or more. Half the seats in the parliament go to Muslims. Those seats are then divided up among various groups. There are 27 seats that are allotted for Shiites. Okay. And there are two parties that hold those 27 seats. There's Hezbollah. They're a party in the Lebanese government. Yes, they're not just a terrorist group. They're a party in the Lebanese parliament. And the other group is Amal. Amal is the other Shiite party. And over the last few decades, most of the time, Amal and Hezbollah are very closely aligned. They tend to vote together. They tend to be supportive of each other. But recently, in the last couple of years, we're seeing Amal separating itself from Hezbollah. But that doesn't mean that Hezbollah was hated by the rest of the Shiites. And certainly there's always been a fear in Lebanon of people speaking out publicly against Hezbollah. Back in the heyday of Hezbollah, when Nasrallah was still alive and before Israel started degrading them, it was dangerous in Lebanon to speak out against Hezbollah because the Lebanese army is a joke, and Hezbollah is really the powerful military there, and they really controlled the country. And you could be in bad shape real quick if you spoke openly against Hezbollah. And there's still some of that in the culture, in the political culture there. And I think that's part of why the president of Lebanon always has to badmouth Israel, even as he criticizes Hezbollah, because he's afraid of being too harsh, being too anti-Hezbollah. The dynamics are not healthy. Let's just say that. But let's take a look at some of the things that are happening in Lebanon that give us some context for what Prime Minister Netanyahu just did here. So here's an interesting story. It says here, in the ruins of war, Lebanon's Shia face a crossroads. This was published 2 days ago. This is brand new. And this is in a news outlet called This is Beirut. Amid escalating fighting with Israel and mounting destruction and displacement, Hezbollah's ability to mobilize its traditional support base appears to be weakening. On May 31st, so whatever it is, a little less than 2 weeks ago, a Hezbollah-affiliated group called on supporters to gather in downtown Beirut to protest the Lebanese government's support for diplomacy with Israel. Okay. Only a few dozen people showed up. A few dozen people. They called Hezbollah, a Hezbollah-affiliated group called for a demonstration in downtown Beirut to protest the government negotiating with the evil Israelis, and a few dozen people showed up, a striking contrast to past years when Hezbollah could mobilize tens of thousands with ease. Days later, residents of Baisaria clashed with Hezbollah members who were reportedly moving military equipment into the southern Lebanese town, suggesting simmering tensions within the Shia community over the group's weapons. Now, let me dig deeper into that. Here's that story. Clash reported, this is from June 5th, so last week, 1 week ago. Clash reported between Hezbollah and Amal supporters over alleged weapons presence. An altercation broke out Friday in Baisaria near Sidon, it's in southern Lebanon, after a dispute involving individuals linked to Hezbollah and the Amal movement over allegations that Hezbollah was storing military equipment and rocket launchers in a residential area. According to a military source who spoke to This is Beirut and was reportedly involved in responding to the incident, the clash began after local men from Baisaria noticed unfamiliar individuals from outside the town operating in the area. The source said residents approached the group to inquire about their activities and allegedly observed military communication equipment and what appeared to be rockets inside vehicles present at the scene. According to the source, residents demanded that the individuals identified as Hezbollah members immediately remove the equipment from the area. The confrontation subsequently escalated into a physical altercation. The source further stated that by the time the Lebanese army units arrived at the location, The Hezbollah members and their vehicles had already departed. Speaking on condition of anonymity, the military source also warned that similar incidents have occurred before. This is not an isolated incident, particularly in areas where support for the Amal movement is strong. The source said tensions occasionally rise when Hezbollah operatives conduct activities near communities perceived as Amal strongholds. However, local officials disputed the reports. In a statement by Syria Mayor Ali al-Nabulsi, denied claims that the incident was related to rocket launchers positioned among homes. Now, why would he be denying it? Well, that has to do, the Amal politicians never publicly criticized Hezbollah. Never. So that was kind of an expected turn in this article here. And then it talks about what the local official, what the mayor of Baisaria said. He basically says, no, it's all a fabrication. Okay. This is huge. Let me explain. The southern part of Lebanon is mostly Shiite, and that's where Hezbollah uses all the residential areas for its military buildup and for its military personnel and for, the towns there aren't really towns. It's kind of like what we saw in the Gaza Strip when the Israelis went in and every single home, every single building, every single residential building had weapons storehouses in it. Most of the apartments had weapons in them and some, or pieces of weapons or communications equipment. Everything was weaponized. Everything was militarized. That's what South Lebanon is like. These towns that Israel's clearing out and destroying, Hezbollah towns are Hezbollah bases, basically, with civilians and their families, their wives and children living there. That's basically what they are. And what Hezbollah was trying to do here is move into a Shiite town and put some equipment there, which is standard practice for them. Now, in the old days, they would do that and no one would say a word. You know why? Because if you said something, you might get your legs broken, or you might find someone in your family's missing, or you might just be favorable to them because Hezbollah is strong and people respect strength, and they're the ones who are protecting us, and they're the ones who are really in control. They're really the power. But now you see how people are boldly standing up to them and saying, don't put your stuff here. They know that if Hezbollah puts their equipment there, before long, the Israelis are going to strike the place. So let's get back to this original story. Meanwhile, activists in Nabatea and Tyre are increasingly voicing demands for stronger state authority in the southern towns, long dominated by Hezbollah and its allies, because Lebanon is a failed state. The areas controlled by Hezbollah, Hezbollah is basically the authority. And now the people in these towns are openly calling for stronger state authority and to push Hezbollah out. Now, while not explicitly aimed at Hezbollah, these calls reflect growing unease among the Shiites over conditions in southern Lebanon, meaning they don't publicly criticize Hezbollah. That's still a no-no, but they're calling for stronger state authority. Amid escalating fighting with Israel and mounting destruction and displacement, Hezbollah's ability to mobilize its traditional support base appears to be weakening. Quote, before one word from Hassan Nasrallah could bring tens of thousands into the streets, today Hezbollah cannot mobilize enough people for a single protest, Lebanese political writer Mona Fayyad told This Is Beirut. And then it goes into talking about how there isn't really a strong, an organized opposition, because Amal sort of collaborates with Hezbollah. So, but there needs to be a better opposition, and it goes into the history of it, which is beyond us. Here's the breakdown of the parliamentary seats, the Shiite parliamentary seats in Lebanon, and where their districts are. So you see that the green ones are Amal, the yellow ones are Hezbollah. Hezbollah's got 13 seats, Amal has 14, and that's a total 27 Shiite seats. And you see, of the 27 seats, 15 of them, so more than half of them are right down here, this strip in the bottom of the country, which is the big Hezbollah stronghold that Israel's clearing out. Okay, I want to jump down to this part of the article. When Hezbollah renewed its campaign against Israel on March 2nd, so that's 2 days after the Americans and the Israelis started bombing Iran, March 2nd, Hezbollah started bombing Israel, started shooting rockets at Israel. So when they renewed their campaign against Israel on behalf of Iran, its base bore the burden of the ensuing war. The Israeli military now occupies roughly 5% of Lebanese territory, with troops continuing to raze villages along the border and expanding their ground operations deeper into the country. Quote, the biggest indicator that Hezbollah lost the narrative of resistance is the military defeat happening in the south, Fayyad said. The consequences of Hezbollah's decision to plunge Lebanon into war, she added, include widespread displacement among Shiite communities in southern Lebanon. As of June 4th, a couple days ago, over 1 million people remain displaced, with 135,000 seeking refuge in public shelters as the conflict continues to intensify. Quote, Hezbollah's supporters are today displaced. Many of them are living on the streets because of Hezbollah. Today, many are in shock or denial. Despite the hardships brought on by the war, segments of Hezbollah's base remain reluctant to abandon the party despite their frustrations. Many prefer to stick with the existing failing Hezbollah rather than move toward an unknown fate, quoting this other expert, Haidar. Instead of mobilizing politically, Fayyad said that Shia affected by Hezbollah's war with Israel remain focused on displacement, economic hardship, and uncertainty about the future. The majority of Shia's first preoccupation is to get out of the misery Hezbollah has put them in. Now, this story I'm about to show you is from today. Mahmoud Shuaib, Hezbollah turned southern Lebanese civilians into human shields. Listen to the remarks of Mahmoud Shuaib, a Shiite political activist from southern Lebanon. Shuaib is highly critical of Hezbollah, arguing that the organization embeds its military activities within civilian areas, private homes, and near civilian populations, effectively turning the residents of southern Lebanon into human shields. Mohammed Shuaib is one of the most prominent Shiite voices opposing Hezbollah and Amal, advocating for a stronger Lebanese state, reduced Iranian influence, and transfer of security responsibilities to the Lebanese army. Okay, so take a look at this clip. It's in Arabic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say it in English. I'm going to lower the sound on it. And is there a way for me to do that? Could I lower the sound on it? Maybe I can do that. And then I'll just speak out the subtitles. So I'm going to play this clip. For those of you who are watching and not listening, you can see the clip. Here we go. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. Okay. We'll just lower the sound on the clip. Here we go. Now he starts off the opening words in this clip. He's talking about the Shiites in the Hezbollah-run towns that everyone's saying, oh, the civilians are getting killed, the civilians are being displaced. And he wants to say something about those Shiites. And he's a Shiite. Listen to what he says here. They say these are civilians. No, those who remained in the south are affiliated with Hezbollah. They may be fighters or they may be involved in logistical support, but they have taken over things. What's even more dangerous, hold on a sec, whoa, let me go back. Subtitles are moving too quick for me. What's even more dangerous than the issue of theft is that these people treat the homes and businesses of the people of the South as if they inherited them. They enter any house they like and hide in it, whether they're fighters or not. Okay, you understand what he's saying here? What he's saying is that this is the way Hezbollah operates. They just come into a town and they just set up shop, or they go into a house as though they own it. They put weapons wherever they want. Everyone's intimidated. That's the way they've operated for decades. That's what they were trying to do in Basariya in that other story. And the people stopped them and said, get out of here. We don't want you here. And they chased them away. So what he's saying is, like, these Hezbollah guys, they enter any house they like. They hide in it, whether they're fighters or not. They go into people's homes and hide there, causing those homes to be destroyed. For example, 2 days ago, my brother, may God protect him and his family, exactly 2 days ago, in the town of Dware, a commander who had been absent and hidden for 2 months suddenly decided to sleep in that house. Apparently, Hezbollah knew ahead of time when a building is going to be struck. Half an hour before the strike, he left the building. He didn't even bother to inform the neighbors and leave. The building collapsed on my brother and his children. In another case, I have a cousin who owns a mansion he spent 45 years building, and the mansion was destroyed. There are many other similar cases. Even in villages, there are eyewitness accounts from people close to me. I know them personally, but I don't want to mention their names. Armed confrontations have occurred between villagers and Hezbollah members who wanted to use their homes or locations near their homes, which would bring destruction and bombardment upon those houses. The people of the villages have sent their children and families away and stayed behind in their homes to protect them, not from Israel, but from these Hezbollah individuals who are causing the destruction. regardless of what cause they claim to represent. There is no cause greater than seeing your home collapse before your eyes. There's no justification. You can't tell me Israel's the enemy. Israel is an enemy, but Iran is even more of an enemy. And those who work for Iran are greater enemies than Israel. They've caused more harm to the people of southern Lebanon than Israel has. That is unbelievable. Now, what's so unbelievable about it is that he's saying it. When he says that there's armed clashes between local Shiites and the Hezbollah who are trying to set up shop there, this is new. Understand, this would never, ever have happened for decades. Hezbollah went wherever they pleased. They took over wherever they pleased. They put weapons wherever they wanted. If you argued with them, you might find a bullet in the back of your head. And now they're being chased out by people, Shiites. And here we have another guy. This is a Lebanese Shiite journalist, Ali Khalifa. Okay, very prominent Lebanese Shiite journalist. Lebanese Shiite journalist Ali Khalifa said in a May 14th, 2026 interview a few weeks ago on the Spot Shot YouTube channel that he views Hezbollah, not Israel, as the enemy, accusing the group of killing thousands of Shiites in Lebanon and elsewhere. He also said that Shiites themselves are demanding that Hezbollah be disarmed. Khalifa asked why Shiites in southern Lebanon should be expected to tolerate Hezbollah weapons depots inside their homes and communities. See, this is what people don't understand. Look at what I've just showed you from a number of different sources. This was the standard practice of Hezbollah for a long, long time. They would go into Shiite towns, they would walk into people's homes like they own the place, and they would store weapons there. Or they would put some Hezbollah operatives there. Then Israel is hunting down these people, or a missile gets shot from one of these homes, and that's where it was shot from. So Israel shoots back, destroys the home. Oh, Israel destroyed a civilian home. This is what they do. It's the human shield strategy, just like in Gaza. And now the Shiites in southern Lebanon have had it. They're fed up with them. And they're saying enough is enough. And they are willing to say it out loud. You know, there's another clip that I saw. Let me go find this clip. I just watched it earlier today. I'll end with this, because this is a worthwhile clip. Here it is.
Now,
check that out.
It's the time for the government to replace those militias. Mainly the Shiite communities, believe me, are fed up. But we need to provide them with alternative, which is the government. The equation is simple.
The Shiite communities are fed up. When the president of Lebanon is willing to say that, now you might think it's still pathetic. They're not taking enough action against Hezbollah. That's true. Lebanon, it does not really have sovereignty. But a statement like this on CNN saying that the Shiite community in Lebanon is fed up and we have to get rid of Hezbollah, this is something that would have been unheard of not long ago. So now, put what Prime Minister Netanyahu said yesterday in that context. Prime Minister Netanyahu knows full well that Hezbollah is losing support among the people. And the people he knows about all this. He knows that the people are pushing back on them. And there's this momentum building against Hezbollah among the Lebanese people. But you got to remember, Israel's still bombing, Israel's still advancing, and there's still a lot of anti-Israel messaging and propaganda and brainwashing there. The Israelis are not necessarily beloved. And it's very easy to still turn sentiment against Israel. And to say, well, so what he's doing is he's capitalizing on the anti-Hezbollah sentiment that he sees growing, and he's putting out this statement which places Israel on the side of the Lebanese people against Hezbollah, messaging to them, we're not against you. We're not here to conquer Lebanon. That's not what we're interested in. Don't believe the lies that that's what we're trying to do. And we do know the difference between the good guys and the bad guys. And it's a very smart message right now at this time with everything going on in Lebanon. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope this made sense, and I hope you found it helpful. So keep an eye out for this story developing further. I'm definitely going to be watching it as we see more of these stories about what's happening domestically in Lebanon. Because if there's any chance, as Prime Minister Netanyahu said, if there's any chance for a peaceful resolution where Lebanon and Israel can live peacefully side by side, and if there's no Hezbollah, there will be trade, there will be travel. Lebanon will be, I think, a pretty easy country to have peace with, especially with significant Christian population that's there, that's very favorable to Israel. I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is doing a smart thing, but we're going to be watching the story of the domestic situation in Lebanon very closely. God bless.